Today's episode of The Mom Game is brought to you by Cowden Cosmetic Dentistry. As Texas continues to open back up, don't forget that Dr. Anna Cowden and her staff can now handle all of your dental needs. Cowden Dentistry can even handle your cosmetic dental needs. Have you put off those exams or cleanings? Book an appointment now, and for a limited time, new patients will receive a free sonic toothbrush. I know, I love mine. And no matter what procedure you need, your comfort, safety, and the safety of the staff will be their primary concern. So call Cowden Cosmetic Dentistry today, 972-380-6223. I'm going to say it again. 972-380-6223, or you can email them at info@cowdencosmeticdentistry.com. And hey, everybody, welcome to episode 20 of The Mom Game. I am no longer sitting in a stock tank pool in my driveway.
You're here in real life.
I'm here.
It's so good to see you.
It's so good to be seen by people other than my children.
I bet.
Yeah.
I bet. So what's going on? So you guys got some good news.
So we went through the whole, COVID process. We isolated for 10 days after Henry had the positive test. During that time, I did, poop checks because the doctor said to check for diarrhea and rashes in addition to all the other 800 symptoms or signs.
So every time they're on the pot, you're like,
so it's like, how's everybody's poop looking today? What, it's all that, the temperatures, all that stuff, which I'm actually continuing to do. It's not as like, I don't feel like the need to examine poop, but just like a check, anybody got diarrhea, take the temperatures, we take our supplements, like all that kind of stuff, check for rashes.
Now, I just have to say, you probably hadn't been checking their poop for the couple weeks leading up to it. So you wouldn't even know if it was different than it was because we don't normally examine our kids' poops. Right. But I guess you would know if something was really bad.
For sure. So, we went through the 10 days and then I consulted my COVID Yoda, Aaron Woodward, who is Chris Woodward, the manager of the Rangers, his wife, who is an ER nurse. I consulted her, my COVID Yoda, and basically just said, what do you think? I had to get tested to go back to work for the Rangers. MLB protocol that had nothing to do with my, fiasco. And so, the Rangers have told me, we'll test you whenever you want to be tested. Same goes for the family. Just let us know. So after the 10 days was up last Sunday. And so on a Monday, I was like, okay, we're going to go get tested. But before that, I sent out a text to my friends and family, close friends and family that we had been around kind of in our little small, little new normal bubble. And I just said, FYI, we're going to get tested tomorrow. However, there's a likelihood or a possibility that one of the three of us could show positive, even though we haven't had signs. But because we've been exposed to this in the 10-day window, there's a sign that it could be positive.
Yeah.
But regardless of if one of the three of us tests positive, we are returning to our normal because we had monitored everything. We had been in isolation. We had not seen any symptoms, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So I said, I just want to put it out there that this is how we're going to proceed. And if you have a problem with that, totally get it, respect it, understand it. But let me know so I can shield my kids from that. Where if they start asking, can I go play with so-and-so?
Right. They don't want to feel like there's some sort of monster and no one wants to be around them.
And so I said, just if you'll kindly let me know so I can just kind of shield that from them and quite frankly, just make some shit up. And so I did. All of them were wonderful and all of them were great. Now, the only kink would have been if Mike would have come back positive.
Right.
Because he hadn't been with us, right? He had been away from us for 10 days.
Yeah.
And he'd been away from the kids for 2 weeks plus.
So he would have been positive just completely randomly, on his own, not from you.
Right.
Or I guess rejoining it.
Right.
I don't
No,
know.
it would have because we hadn't seen him. So we didn't see him until after we tested.
Okay.
And so we talked in the car about it and with the kids, I did. And I was like, and Henry was like, well, what happens? I was like, if one of the three of us tests positive, we're going to be okay. We're just going to we'll be careful, which we're continuing to be careful, whatever. And he said, what happens if daddy tests positive? And I said, well, then we're screwed. And so we get the test done. I got the full touch your brain Q-tip thing.
Oh, you got that one?
I did.
Was I exaggerating or is it terrible?
I mean, did I make it sound uncomfortable?
Worse?
No, it's definitely not. It's brutal. And so we did count with the kids. It lasted 6 seconds. So we all get tested. We went through a drive-through place in Arlington on Monday morning. 2 hours later, they called and said we were all negative.
Oh my God. Best phone call ever.
And Henry goes, I go, guess what, you guys? I was like, we're all negative. And Henry goes, we're not screwed. I was like, oh,
he's exactly right.
But we did play a little prank on Daddy.
Okay.
So Hattie, my little prankster, Hattie was like, we should prank Daddy. And so sure enough, I said, we have to make it believable, not just him. And I said, okay, we're going to say, Hattie, we're going to say you and Daddy are both positive. Oh, no. And she goes, okay. So I put him on speaker and I was like, hey, honey. And he was like, hey, what's up? And I said, the clinic just called. And I was like, so anyway, Henry and I are negative, but you and Hattie are positive.
Oh no, Emily, you're evil.
And he was like, it was like 5 seconds of like nothing. And he goes, okay.
Oh, okay. And he goes, I'm going back to the Omni.
In the back seat, the kids are just like about to explode.
Oh.
So they exploded. We told him he was kidding. He was like, oh, I see it. Y'all got jokes on. So anyway, sometimes
you just have to laugh about it.
We did. So we've moved on, and we, are now back to our, previous new normal that we were before. But I will tell you, reentry is like super weird and kind of eerie. And because I was so public about it,
right?
Like people ask a lot of questions. And they're like, well, who was being ugly to you? And I was like, oh, honey, there's too many people. It wasn't like my close circle. It was like people affiliated with him. And I was like, but I guarantee, because we went to the swimming pool, Monday night. And I was like, anybody want to take a picture with me and put it on social media? I mean, and they're like, that's funny. And I'm like, no, I'm serious. I mean, you can if you want, And I'm like, if you want to see because people, it's just weird.
You feel like everyone's like looking at you, judging.
It's
like
weird.
I can't.
It is. You can't put your thumb on it. But yeah. And then I can't tell you how many people came out of the woodwork that were like, oh girl, me too. This is why I haven't told. I mean, they told the people who they were exposed to, or who they had been around, but they were like, yeah, I'm not. We're just gonna kind of just lay low,
just like stay in our house.
Yeah. So I totally get it. I don't regret sharing one bit. I don't regret it. That's kind of just how I've lived my life. Is pretty much an open book. I mean, there's a few things I hold pretty sacred that I don't really talk about, but for the most part, I'm an open book, and we documented our process. And I mean, with that being said, even though we had a very, basically it was just an inconvenience, to be at home for 10 days in isolation. But I have heard many stories from people who I know personally who have been affected by it, from the mild symptoms to, death. I mean, it's really? A very real yeah. I mean, I don't want anyone to think for 1 second because, I got a stock tank pool in my driveway and did a podcast and whatever, that I'm just kind of like, oh, this thing's no big deal. It didn't affect us in ways that it's affected other people. It's effing-lutely for real. I mean, it's killed people I know. It's affected people I know. So
but,
I have
you
those.
Can't like sit there in black and do a seance every night,
like
stuck in your house.
No, absolutely.
It's good, and especially when you have kids that are watching the way you're handling it.
Yes.
And how they're perceiving what's going on with them, you have to keep it light. Because what else? What are you going to do? Like wake up every day and tell your kids, hey, there's this terrible thing still going around, and when you go outside, you could catch it, and you could get really sick, and someone knows someone that knows someone that actually died.
Yeah.
So no, we're not telling our kids. We're telling our kids what they need to know to protect them and to protect us and to protect their friends and family and people around them. But I feel like the way you did it is exactly as you should do it.
Yeah. And one quick thing I do want to mention. So in all my Instagram story rants that I went on throughout that 10-day isolation.
I enjoyed following your rants.
So in one of my rants, it was talking about, how people are just kind of like, everyone's crazy right now, right? Yes. It's a crazy time. I'm crazy. You're crazy. We're all crazy. It was the inconsistent Cray that was making me nuts. And so I coined the term consistent Cray. Like I need the consistent Cray in my life. And so I had an idea to put it on a t-shirt and turn it into a fundraiser for the Do It for Dirt Foundation, which is a foundation that I am on the board of and is the charity that I hold closest to my heart. If you don't know about the Do It for Dirt Foundation, we financially assist families who have been impacted by sudden loss. And it was formed after we lost one of our colleagues, Richard Dirt, who was a writer for ESPN and a number of other, publications across DFW, and was a
very well known
sports writer. And so anyway, just like a lot of other nonprofits, our big event, our big fundraiser got canceled this year. And so we're constantly looking for ways to, to make money. And so I got in touch with the t-shirt company called Custom Ink, and they're handling everything for us, which is phenomenal.
Wow.
And so for $20, you can get a Consistent Cray 2020 t-shirt.
Wow.
So you can find the link. It's in my bio on my Instagram page. But yeah, it's, I thought it was kind of just a fun idea.
Yeah.
It'll only go on for like a week. So there's a little less than a week left in the fundraiser to get those t-shirts bought.
I need to get one. We could wear it on our next show.
We could wear it on
together.
Our next show,
I mean, that would be a fitting name for our show
Consistent
as well. If we
Cray
didn't already
2020.
have the mom game.
Exactly.
Consistent Cray.
Consistent Cray.
And with that foundation, I bet you there's going to be people that are dealing with COVID and losing.
Oh, we've helped. We've helped a couple of families already affected by it. In fact, just one this week, I sent a check. Lost their dad and was also a youth baseball coach to COVID. So yeah, I mean, like I said, we're all doing the best we can at this point in time. So I'm, happy to be back among the living. I'm happy to be back with you.
Yeah.
I'm happy that I'm still Consistent Cray 2020.
And how are your kids? Like,
the kids are great. They're
mentally,
fine.
They're obviously didn't get to go to camp.
Yeah, and they, and then I want to get into this with you too.
Yeah.
So here's another thing: we have a trip planned.
Yeah.
We have a vacation planned that we've had planned forever. I'm going to work opening day. I'm going to work the 2 exhibition games and then opening day next week, and then I'm gone for 12 days. And so I debated on whether or not that was a smart decision, but after the kids got, the camp got taken away and, we had to stay in isolation, I just didn't want to
keep canceling
I just want to keep, And so I was like, you know what, we're going to go there and we're going to be smart like we are here. We're going to wear our masks. We're going to wash our hands. We're going to socially distance. We're going to do those things.
Yeah.
And we're going to do them in a different setting. We're going to give them, a change of scenery. And we all, I feel like, everyone could use one. And if you have the opportunity and you have the means to get away and do so safely, that to me, I'm okay with it.
There's a way to do it safely.
Absolutely.
And then just like clear your mind.
Yeah. Just get off the grid for a little while.
Right.
Yeah, for
exactly.
sure. Yeah.
I'm extremely jealous.
I know. So, okay. Because while I'm going to the beach, you are going to...
I'm going to go back to work.
Yeah.
Monday. So I feel like we started this just before I got furloughed. We started our podcast and it actually worked out pretty well timing wise. It gave me time to focus on this and not, juggling everything. And I was so thankful to have this throughout it all. I need like a purpose, I just need to have something like some sort of project to work on. And that was the hardest part of the furlough, I think, for me, is I'm just not used to sitting around. I'm not used to sitting at home. And then you also listen, like I've been listening to The Ticket every day. Thank God for that, know? But I'm like, you're not used to like not being at work and then like, it'd be like not going to your job, but watching your job all day, every day. So that part was just like major FOMO. Like, oh, they're laughing about this or like.
But I do want to say this as someone who listens to The Ticket a lot. They miss the hell out of you. and so do the listeners. Every time you send out a tweet, they're like, when is Julie coming back? Like, when are you coming back? When are you coming back?
It's funny.
I know, but I think that speaks to who you are as a person and the impression that you've made. And relatively speaking, considering how many years those dudes have been on there,
right?
The impression that you've made in a relatively short amount of time.
That's really nice. I think females love it because there's finally a female perspective and the guys talk about so many things, especially Dan and Jake. Like I was listening to them today. They're talking about trying to get the wife pregnant and how they do it and this and that and kids and they talk about so many things from a husband's or a dad's perspective, and I love being able to weigh in and like go back and forth on some of those things and like stand up for all of us. They're like, no, you can't say that or don't do that, you dumbass.
Okay, so I do want to ask you. So I was on The Ticket.
I heard.
Did you hear the interview?
Yes.
Did you hear me do my impersonations of you?
I think
did you
do it again.
I was like as soon as they brought me on, they were like, as soon as they brought me on, I was like, remember when we had sports? And then I was like, and gluten-free pizza.
I listened to that interview, I was like, is Em already hitting the wine bottle today? Because you were cracking me up.
I know. I was trying so hard to recreate.
I haven't heard those turn into drops yet, but I think they need to be drops, like an impression of my drops.
I don't know that's necessary.
So you can keep circulating.
I don't know that's
on
necessary.
Our show too. Yeah. I need to deflect somehow. There's too much shit for me. Like I do too many dumb things, say too many dumb things, anything to deflect onto other people.
It was amazing.
But luckily, no, you were hilarious. I love when they've had you on quite a few times lately. I mean, you got to talk about being the COVID person.
They're running out of material at this point.
They're like, hey, Emily's isolated. Let me know, but it's fun. And everyone knows you and relates to you. And then, of course, with baseball season gearing up, it's topical to bring you on to talk about all of the things.
Yeah. Okay. So what? I got to ask you. So Kelly, your husband?
Yeah.
Coach for the Stars?
Yes. So
he's
about to bail on me.
Yeah. For and that's a legit bubble. It's a legit bubble.
Yeah. So Kelly is the video coach for the Stars. So he's on the coaching staff. He does everything that they all do, all the assistants, and he's right in there with it. So of course he's going with the team to the bubble. And the team has started back up with their training camp, official training camp. So that's what they're doing right now. So he's back to working long days, and the guys are all skating together, and we're starting to see what the lines are going to look like, and who's going to play where, and who's looking good, who's healthy, that kind of thing right now. And then July 26th, I believe, is the day they fly out, and he'll be flying to Edmonton. So he is leaving the country to go, which, hey, their numbers are like way down on all of this right now. They've been handling it quite well up there. We have his family's in the Vancouver area, and they isolated for a long time, and it was a lot a bit more hardcore than what we did, but they're like kind of on the outside of it now. So needless to say, I think it's a good spot for them to go. Some people are like, oh, Edmonton, oh, what a bad city. It's like, well, you don't get to do anything anyway.
Right.
So
what does it matter?
So what does it matter? Like, if you ship them to Vancouver, then they can just stare at all these amazing things that they can't do. So I think Edmonton's fine. It's going to be cooler weather for him. And what it sounds like, and I don't think Toronto, which is where the Eastern Conference is going to have their bubble, the Western Conference is going to be in Edmonton. I don't think Toronto has quite the same setup as Edmonton. Edmonton sounds pretty sweet. Like, they basically are going to have a whole street blocked off for NHL players. And the street has restaurants, bars, and those types of things on it, that it's only going to be for people that are in this bubble. So they'll get to go out and walk around. I think there's a golf course or two, that kind of thing. And so they'll get to move freely, and they won't be trapped inside of just one or two places the whole time. So I think it'll be okay. It's not going to be ideal. They're all going to miss their families. And I did hear, I think they're going to invite families later on. Ben Bishop was one of the ones to bring that up in all of the discussions. Ben Bishop, the Stars. No, I take that back. It wasn't Ben Bishop. It was Jason Spezza, who used to play for the Stars. And he has 3 little girls. And he was one that I think spoke up and was like, okay, what's the deal here? Can we bring our families? And they're going to be able to go in the later rounds of the playoffs, which I hope the Stars are in. So all that being aside, I'm going to be alone, and that's going to be hard, but I'll be going back to work. And so it won't be all day, every day like it has been.
Right.
Plus, oh my God, I'm just so excited for them. I'm so excited for the team. I'm so excited for the fans to get to watch hockey, to get to watch baseball, to get to watch basketball. We're going to have everything all at once.
Right.
It still seems unreal. What you weren't sure if it was going to happen. I'm like, it's happening.
I know. I am shocked, honestly, at baseball. I'm so shocked. The fact that there's no bubble, there's no nothing, and that the initial numbers were so low.
Yeah.
And then that they've stayed low. And so whereas, if you would have asked me 2 weeks ago, I'm like, there's no way this is going to work. And now I'm like, well, there's a puncher's chance. It could. Yeah. My whole deal is, though, when they start traveling, and you've got teams traveling all over the country, it's just, there's no bubble. We don't have bubbles in baseball. It's basically just you're proceeding with caution. You're taking all these protocols. MLB has their outlined stuff that you have to do, but we just had a call with Chris Woodward, and he said, we're putting in additional protocols, our code of conduct for our team.
Okay.
What we're going to allow on the road, what we're not going to allow, like all that kind of stuff.
It's like the president says one thing and then the states figure out their own rules, and
that's
we'll see how that goes.
What's happening.
Yeah.
And so, you wonder if all teams will be that vigilant about it, how that's going to look. If a team gets off to a terrible start, are they going to become laxed in it? Like, we started
like, I don't care anyway.
We started 2-14. We stink. So what does it matter? I don't know. So there's just so many more variables in the MLB plan. I quite frankly cannot believe it's made it this far. I'm stoked that it has.
Yeah.
I mean, it looks like we're going to make opening day. And so I can't wait to get back out to the ballpark and, ride this train as long as I can. But, the one thing about the NBA, I mean, their plan is, genius too. I mean, like, I feel like, NHL has a similar plan. Mm-hmm. But like with the NBA, because you had so few games left and it's so much more condensed, you have the ability to do that. And so, but it looks like those dudes are having
oh my God, I can't get enough of the content coming out of the NBA bubble.
Right.
Like they're all fishing, catching this like little fish, these giant guys, but like they probably have to feel like they're like at summer camp again or something, you know?
I mean, I'm sure it won't always be this fun. I mean, now they're still ramping up for games and all that kind of stuff, but I mean, it looks like right now they're having a pretty kick-ass time.
And I forget who it was. One of the players, poor thing, had to isolate for like 14 days after he went and picked up his food.
Or like Postmates. It was like, and like tweeted about it.
And then he tweeted, he's like, oh, heck yeah, they delivered to the bubble. It's like, no, dude.
I know. Can you imagine? Like, I mean, and they're taking this shit seriously.
They're taking it really seriously. And then like the writers, Brad Townsend from the Morning News in his hotel for 2 weeks before he can like.
I did die laughing at one of your tweets. So somebody said like, I just got invited into the bubble, NBA not happening or whatever. And then you were like, this isn't a good sign. Hashtag webcams. Come on, guys, you can do it.
Get it together.
Hashtag webcams.
It's 2020.
That's the best.
There's technology for this.
Best use of a hashtag ever.
I imagine it's not quite the same, but you can probably figure it out. Different means to the same end, right? I mean,
amazing.
I that popped in my mind because I had heard about a company that like a webcam company that was advertising specifically to NBA players. Yeah. Like, hey, don't worry, we've got our chips ready for you.
Best webcams and the best things to see in the webcams.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, listen, whatever it takes to get it done.
Whatever it takes to get it done.
Whatever it takes to get it done.
Yeah. And the Mavs have a shot, Yeah. I had missed, or I didn't realize how much I missed seeing Luka out there, like just making trick shots, and
I know,
he's just so fun to watch. So I can't wait for that. And it's all going to happen at the same time. Like, what is Fox Sports Southwest going to do? What are these television networks?
I know. I'm like, now I'm going to be working all the time, and I won't get to watch the others. But I'm sure maybe they'll stagger. Well, I mean, they said in the NBA that they're going to be like games throughout the day.
Yes. Okay, so like that feeling of like the NCAA March Madness, like how excited everybody gets and how everybody's like distracted all day long because they have to watch basketball. It's going to be like that every day. The NHL is going to have 3 games a day. Yeah, and I think the Stars start times. It keeps changing, I think, but it sounds like most of them will be around 4:30 our time. Yeah. Maybe 5-ish. So it'll be perfect for me to get home from work, get the kids, watch a little hockey. Bam, bam, bam. I've filled my evening. Like, now it's bedtime. So it'll be weird and lonely. I'll probably start talking to my phone more, doing more Instagram stories.
Oh, I hope you do more Instagram
posting creepy ass pictures.
That picture. Okay, we have to discuss that too. Oh my gosh. So I get home last night. I had dinner with girlfriends and I get home and there's this picture. I couldn't even recognize it was you. You look 12.
I look
weird.
There's
like this
it's creepy.
It's a little ghost-like of this this image like just hovering over this glass of rosé, and I was like, "What is happening?"
That weird? And when you're like, "Should I post this? Should I not?" Maybe shouldn't.
Just do it.
Emily,
did you just have it break?
Do you ever have those moments? Oh my god!
Do I ever? When do I?
I just had a day. Yeah, and I've learned with kids and being home with kids. For me personally, like, I've got to get out. Like, I've got to take them to do something, or I've got to do something. It's the days when we're both, or all 3 of us, are just home alone with like nothing on the schedule. My kids are doing swim lessons in our pool, so that was the only thing we did yesterday. with Dirk, who is somebody who helps he helped Donovan on the ticket learn to swim. He's going to help Keller learn to swim this week. He's been helping my kids learn to swim. But that's all we had to do yesterday. And so it's just like, I literally feel like I just walk around in circles, like picking up messes and giving them snacks over and over and over and dealing with like temper tantrums. And the 5-year-old is like, oh my God, he's precious and sweet, but he's just giving us a hard time right now. Like he freaks out when he hears the word no. So anything, he wants everything done his way, and he wants everything exactly when he says he wants it. And if you say no, it's like a freak out. So it's like freak outs over and over and over and over. We're working on it, but it's like they're not in the right headspace either. No, the kids they're not used to any of this. So it was just like one of those days that I went outside and I saw on the patio. And I actually was like cleaning the house, and I was like, I've got to take a break. Like I just go sit outside when I need a break from, because I don't know if you're like me, in your house, you think about all the things you need to do. Yeah. You got to do dishes, and you got to do this, and you got to do that. And there's another mess, and then there's laundry, and then there's blah, blah. So I was like, I'm just going to sit out on the patio and pour myself a glass of wine. And I was just like, Kelly opened the door to like come join me. And he was like, looked at me. He's like, do you want to be alone? I was like, yeah. I do. I just want to be alone with my wine right now. And then I'm like scrolling, and I was like, I just felt like I needed, and I was also like excited about going back to work. So I wanted to say something about that too, but it was just like, oh my God. And you think about how everybody's feeling this way. It's not just me. It's not just you. Like it's the hardest of circumstances for everybody right now, for the kids, for parents. You have impending decisions coming up about school. Yeah. And the day before yesterday, just like full disclosure of like this week and how it's been, like I found out, and talking about, I was going to bring this up to you too, because you're just talking about how people have been treating you differently and how everybody's handling this whole thing differently. Well, the family we share the nanny with, and I won't go into too much detail, but they kind of told me out of the blue that they don't want to share the nanny anymore if my kids are going to school. Oh. So, and Anna was going to go there 3 days a week, and that's been my plan forever. Right. And then they wanted to keep the nanny, which was like a nanny that we love and that I found a long time ago, and Anna's like attached to. So it was kind of like, what? So all of a sudden, like I'm going back to work and I don't have childcare figured out. Right. We've got it worked out and it's all good. But it's just an example too. And like besides them trying to keep the nanny, like they're not in the wrong. Everybody's handling it differently. Right. And you do what you will feel safe, like how to make you and your family feel safe, and you make your own decisions. Right. But it was like, oh my God. Yeah, but that one definitely directly impacts you. Yeah, like completely. And I'm like, okay, good. Kelly's about to leave and I've got to figure all this out, and I'm going back to work, and this is a lot. Yeah, you deserved a creepy picture hovering over a glass of rosé, guess. If anyone did. Yes. I don't know. It was just a weird weird moment. Yeah, I mean, I lost my shit like day 7 of COVID, and like went in the house. You said you broke your phone, so I need to hear about that. Slammed my phone. Well, Henry has this like obsession with wanting to make money. Like he wants to start a business and make money, and he's 9. Wow. Like so, his grandfather gave him a lawnmower. Well, he can't start the damn thing. So, but like he wants to mow lawns. Electric ones? No, like a push push lawnmower. But they have cute little ones that like. No, this is like a full-on gas lawnmower. Okay. And I'm like, he's like, you won't even let me make money mowing lawns. I'm like, you can't start the lawn. We've had this conversation no less than 844 times. Oh my God. And so we had it on day 7 of COVID or isolation, and I like went in because I was going to lose my marbles. So I went in the house and slammed the door and slammed my phone down on the kitchen counter. And sure so enough, it was because he wanted to start his business mowing lawns. Yes. And you said no. And because we had the conversation 845 times, I was like, dude, you can't start the lawnmower. No, I'm not. Yes, you should have said no. Like it doesn't make sense. Right. But that's what did it. Yes. Yeah. And then he was like, oh, anger issues. And I was like, oh, I will kill you, child. Isn't it okay? Can we talk about like morphing into angry, evil mom and how it turned? Like it quit on a dime. Sometimes I just step back, I take a deep breath. I'm like, what is? And then you immediately have to eat shit. I was like, I'm sorry, I got upset. Yes. I was like, look at what I did now. I'm a moron. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have gotten that upset, but you've got to listen to me. I can't keep having this conversation over and over again. He's like, so this isn't going to end anytime soon. What I'm dealing with. No. Do they ever listen? No. Like, just listen. Right. But he's so hard-headed. And so is Ryder. And I just was like, so anyway, so then I apologized. We moved on. Everything was fine. But then I had to go get my iPhone screen fixed. Oh. Yeah. Mine's cracked too. Kelly broke mine on accident, or he dropped it, and I'm just living with it cracked.
Yeah, I can't. My OCD wouldn't let me.
Really? Oh. That is the perfect like difference between me and you. Yeah. Like, oh no, I'm like, I'm just gonna deal with it until it either like slices my finger or I just, or it
doesn't work anymore.
Right. Yeah. And it doesn't. And I'm like, I'm good.
Well, Julie, you know what? We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it.
I don't know.
And we are gonna make a choice.
Is that what I was supposed to say?
I kind of,
you're right.
I remember, I'm starting to remember when we had sports.
I know. Speaking of, I have to tell the little story about Tyler real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Because Tyler Sagan, who was on our show, 2 weeks ago or something like that with Kate, his girlfriend. So on the show, they were telling us the story about how they had an abundance of hockey nets all of a sudden because Tyler was having issues probably with like Amazon or however. Like, do you ever do that where you put a bunch of things in the cart and you don't click on it? And then I'm like all day, like every day, I'm like, when's my stuff arriving? And then I go back and I'm like, damn it, oh hell. Yes. I didn't even click send.
Right.
So anyway, I bet it was something like that with his hockey nets. So and then when they all ended up coming, there were like 7 of them or something. So he made a like offhand comment like, oh, does Ryder want any hockey nets? And I was like, sure, Ryder could always use a hockey net. We actually have 1 and 2 would make, a whole rink in our front yard. And so I just kind of forgot about it. And then last Sunday, we were just at home swimming and Kate sent a text and she's like, hey, is today a good day for us to come bring the hockey net over? Is Ryder around? I was like, well, yeah, we'll be here all day. So that gave Ryder something to look forward to all day. He kept being like you're talking about Henry just asking everyone. He's like, when's Tyler Sagan coming, Mom? Yeah. When's Tyler Sagan going to be here? I'm like, do you realize what you're saying? Like, don't be. Yeah. This is a really special thing.
So cute.
And so, then Kate sent me a video of the hockey net, like in the back of the truck, like kind of like about to fall out the whole way here. Yeah. And she was laughing, as they're driving over to our house. And then they arrived with the hockey net and a couple of our neighbors were just outside. And so everyone thought that was like cool to see them.
Yeah.
And just, Tyler is just so sweet. And Ryder, of course, is like, okay, you play goalie. Yeah. Nobody wants to be the goalie when you're like scrimmaging around. So then Tyler got in net and Ryder scored on him a couple times and it was just so fun. And I wanted to share it with the world, not to be like, look what my kid got, but to be look how awesome Tyler is.
And Kate. I mean, that was what a thoughtful gesture. Like, it's one thing to say, oh yeah, we'll bring some, whatever, and you would have never thought anything else about it. But for him to follow through on that and for them to take the time to do that, that's really cool.
Exactly. And I think they wanted an activity too. Yeah, they've been like isolating so hard. Like I think all these athletes are. So anything to, get out and about and then do a little good. So
that's awesome.
I don't know. I'm pulling for these guys and
I am too.
All of our Dallas teams as they start gearing back up.
Samesies.
Pulling for you as you reemerge into the world.
I know. Here we are. Oh, and I wanted to, before we go.
Yes. Oh, let's talk about this.
I just came from Cutting Edge Cryo. So it's my 4th treatment. Okay. So I've been focused on the love handles, the first 3. And then today we did the abs.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, because she said there's not as much, there as there is here.
Right.
But it was cold.
Yeah.
But I mean, every time inches come off. And so I'm like, I love it.
Yeah. I did.
I mean, it's cold as hell, but
I love it. See, I was more like tingly than cold.
Well, this is tingly. The other one, when they're doing it, it's cold though.
Yeah. I did love handles once and then I did tummy like 2 days ago.
Yeah.
And it was really cool. She said I lost 3/4 of an inch just in that one session. Yeah. In 3 different spots. They measure you in 3 different spots. And so that was just 2 of, I think 10 or so that we're going to do.
Right.
Which is so exciting. You leave and you're just like, you
feel good.
You're like, no, can everybody tell? Like,
yeah. You want to see my stomach?
I'm not quite there yet. I'm still in my mom. Can I call it a mom piece?
Your mom piece? Yeah.
Mom one piece. But yeah, thank you to them. Yeah. Big thank you to them.
For sure. All right. Okay.
I think we talked through most of it.
I think we did.
When do you go? When's opening day?
Opening day is the 24th of July.
So it's creeping up real soon.
It is. 2 exhibition games next week before that. So I'll be back out at the yard. I can't wait.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to talk some baseball with you.
I know. Good luck going back to work.
Yeah, thank you.
Have fun. I'll be listening.
I'll be in your ears starting Monday.
I love it. All right.
I think that's it for now, Em.
It is.
Good to see you in the flesh.
See everyone. Yep. Mom game out.
I'll try not to be too creepy on Instagram this week. Mom game out.
I love it.